Welcome to the Ian McNaughton Show. My name is Ian McNaughton. Thank you for listening. I'm recording this Tuesday, May the 4th. So May the 4th be with you. It's not a bad day here. I'm in Burnaby. Setup's a little bit different today. I'm out in my living room. I got the hardwood floors below me, so it might not sound as good as in my bedrooms where I have carpet, but doing something different, trying something a little different. So you might notice that if you're watching the YouTube portion of the podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the F1. I have some topics I want to discuss here, mostly stemming from the Portimao race that happened this past weekend, the Portuguese Grand Prix, which was in Portimao. And then on Friday, I'll be doing a Spanish Grand Prix. What's the race this weekend in NASCAR? It's in Darlington, South Carolina, the Goodyear 400. So I'll be previewing the Goodyear 400. It's going to be in Darlington this weekend on Mother's Day. I'll also have a Formula E preview coming up. They are racing in Monaco this weekend. The track in Monaco is set up for the first time in over a year. 2 years essentially. So pretty much in Monaco, they have a Formula E race. They have the F1 race, F2 race. I don't know if they do MotoGP, but there's another race, another big one that I'm missing that they do in Monaco. But now the track is set up. It'll be in use this weekend. Formula E will be taking part, and gotta love it. You gotta love that, things are starting to normalize a little bit, but we're still, progressing and getting better every day. Not quite open here where I am in Burnaby and Vancouver, but getting better, improving, progressing. So let me start with the Portimao kind of recap from the weekend. Lewis Hamilton was first, Max Verstappen was second. Valtteri Bottas was third, Sergio Perez fifth, Lando Norris finished fifth. It was a fairly boring race, I thought. Not a whole lot of excitement outside of a couple passes. Nikita Mazepin obviously blocking Sergio Perez. Kimi Räikkönen running into the back of his teammate. That was not great if you're Alfa Romeo. So I'll start with Lewis Hamilton. Obviously, he rocks. That dude is awesome. He just it's like clockwork with him. He's terrific. I can't say enough about it. I just have to mention it every time he does well because he did really well this past weekend. He beat Bottas on the inside, Verstappen on the inside, on lap, I think it was lap 22. He got past Verstappen on the inside, going down into turn one into DRS zone. A fantastic pass. Verstappen went a bit far right, but didn't go far enough right to really block him. And if so, Hamilton would have just gone around the outside anyways. Nevertheless, great pass there. And then Hamilton did go on the outside against Valtteri Bottas. I can't remember which lap that was, but went on the outside in turn one in the DRS. Well, at the end of the DRS zone, going downhill, went the long way on the outside, got past Valtteri Bottas. Extremely great racing, amazing racing from Lewis Hamilton this past weekend. Terrific driver, can't say enough about him. Fantastic stuff. He's got 69 points this season. Nice. That's an obligatory remark. That's 8 ahead of Max Verstappen. He'll have a chance to catch up Verstappen to Hamilton. The Sunday in Spain, of course, Hamilton's got 2 wins this year. He won in Bahrain. He's won in Portugal. He's won the last 4 Spanish Grand Prix coming up this weekend. And if he gets pole this weekend, it'll be the 100th career pole. No one's coming even close to him. 97 career wins for Lewis Hamilton after Sunday. Connor McDavid, number of wins. And listen, I can't say enough about Lewis Hamilton. It's just something I feel like I have to. I'm obligated to remind everyone how good Lewis Hamilton is because he raced a terrific race on Sunday, and that was very evident and very clear. And I know people like to shit talk Lewis Hamilton. Dude was fantastic. It was a pleasure watching him. We'll see how he does in Spain this upcoming weekend. I also wanted to remark it was a good weekend for Alpine Racing, formerly known as Renault. Now they used to be yellow and black. Now they're driving the blue, red, and white cars. Esteban Ocon finished 7th. He started 6th, so he dropped a spot. So, yeah, that's about right for him. Fernando Alonso finished 18th after starting 14th. He had a really bad qualifying session. So Alonso managed to finish 8th. Him and Danny Ricciardo, they both had a poor qualifying session. I don't even think Ricciardo got out of Q1, and Ricciardo managed to finish 6th, I think it was. So top 10 finishes for Ocon and Alonso. Back-to-back weeks that both Alpine drivers finish in the top 10. So things are progressing. Things are looking good for Ocon, for Fernando Alonso. This is a team, they're doing well with Cyril Abiteboul not being there. He was fired over the winter, and now they have Marcin Budkowski, I think it's his name. My spelling, believe it or not, is not that great. He is now the executive director, and Ocon, Alonso, and Budkowski each mentioned compete with Ferrari and McLaren in their post-game interview on Sunday. Post-race interview, not post-game, post-race interview. You love to see that. You love to see a team, and I'm not saying that Alpine didn't have that before, but you love to see when, your top driver, your young driver, your executive director, you love when the whole team has the mission of, what they want to do. They have goals, and there's, goal setting, and here's where we think we can be. It was very close last year with Ricciardo and Ocon, and now this year with Alonso and Ocon, they're looking pretty good. They're looking really solid through these last 2 weeks. Obviously, Alonso had to retire in Bahrain due to, I believe it was an engine failure, or maybe it was a brake failure. I can't remember, but he had to retire early from the race, so he couldn't finish it. But they're looking better these last 2 weeks. Yeah, we'll see how Spain does for them. It is funny about Abiteboul, who, again, former managing director. He now works for Mecachrome. They're a French engineering company that assembles the Alpine F1 engine. So essentially, they got the guy who used to, run the team. Now he's kind of in charge of the engine and making the parts for a different company, not for Alpine. So it's just interesting to see. Just fascinating to watch. So Alpine, they're 5th in the Constructors' Championship right now. They got 13 points, so they're 4 points ahead of AlphaTauri, who, I was expecting more from Yuki. I was hoping, anyways, after the top 10 in Bahrain. He's struggled these last 2 weeks in Imola and Portugal. They're 29 points behind Ferrari, who have had a resurgent season of sorts for Alpine, or for Ferrari with Leclerc and Sainz. So Ferrari is doing really well. Alpine is just 29 points behind them. Ocon is a free agent after this season. I wanted to mention that because he used to be a Mercedes reserve driver. So you don't know the story about Esteban Ocon. So he used to be a reserve or a test driver, mostly a reserve driver, for Mercedes. Basically, he was released so he could drive with Renault in 2020. Basically, he's Ocon's French. He got to drive for the French team. Now they're Alpine, and now he's a free agent after the season. And if you don't know about Mercedes is in a bit of a interesting, weird situation where Mercedes has Lewis Hamilton as a free agent after the season, Valtteri Bottas, who's their second driver, as a free agent after the season, Toto Wolff, who runs Mercedes, he's their race director, he's a free agent after the season. So you have your 3 most important pieces at Mercedes, who are all free agents after the season. Toto mentioned possibly about giving Ocon an opportunity with Mercedes. He said he's a candidate to join. Now, I don't think he'd be their first candidate. I think ideally they would want a Lewis Hamilton and George Russell pairing, because I think that's the pairing that's going to give you the best results. Ocon, man, if he finishes out this season rather well with Alpine, if he's doing well driving a Renault power base, a Renault engine, I'd be interested to see what he does with Mercedes. Now, I'm not saying he's going to go to Mercedes. I'm not saying he's a shoo-in. It's just a candidate. He's somebody that I'm sure Mercedes is going to ask and interview and see, and they're going to do their homework and their research before they make their final decision. Ocon has to be one. Probably Lewis they would want to bring back more than Valtteri. George Russell obviously is going to be a candidate. There's a lot of options there. A lot of options for Mercedes, depending on which way they want to go. It'll be interesting to see with Ocon. I think the Alpine Ocon partnership is going well so far. If he finishes out the rest of the season well, he's definitely going to be in line for an extension for big money. So Alonso will be a free agent after the 22 season. So essentially Alonso, I don't know how much he got this year. I think he's making 20 million. I'm just going to pull it up. I finally figured out how to do split screen from my computer to my monitor that I have here. So that's cool. Shout out to my dad for helping me with that. Fernando Alonso, according to Spotrac, is making $20.5 this season. And he will... says he's a free agent after this year. I think he's got another season. I think Alonso's under contract for another year. I don't think Alonso is signed to a one-year deal. I'm pretty sure Alonso is a free agent after next season. And he's going to be 40 next year. I don't know if he's going to try and do the Kimi Räikkönen thing of driving until you're in your early 40s. Maybe he wants to. Maybe he doesn't care. I don't know. And, you know, Alpine has finished 5th in the Constructors' Championship the last 2 years. They did in 2019. They did in 2020. They know their place. They know where they are, and they're trying to compete with the Ferraris and McLarens, like they said. It worked out better beating Ferrari last year. They couldn't get past McLaren last season, but I like how they have a goal. They know what they're doing. They know who to shoot for. I can't be upset with Alpine right now. We'll see how the rest of the season plays out, how these next couple of weeks play out. And speaking of these next couple of weeks, Ocon has finished top 10 in 5 of his last 6 races. So he's on a bit of a heater. He might continue to excel when it comes to Spain. We'll see. Should be interesting. And by the way, 2006, keep this in mind. And obviously, Renault was out of racing for so long, but 2006 was the last time Renault had 2 drivers finish in the top 10 in Spain. I don't think Renault had a team from 2012 to 2015, if I'm correct, but that's just something to keep in mind. Renault had not had 2 drivers in the top 10 at Spain since 2006, and believe it or not, that was with Fernando Alonso. That's why he's back with Alpine. So pretty much again, Renault is now Alpine. Alpine used to be Renault, and Renault had Fernando Alonso and Giancarlo Fisichella in 2006, and they were both in the top 10. So, fun fact. There you go for Alpine Renault. Let's take a break, and then we'll get into Kimi Räikkönen and Nikita Mazepin. So we'll be right back. All right, welcome back here. So we just finished talking about Alpine Renault. We'll say Alpine because it's now Alpine, not Renault. Now we're going to be discussing Kimi Räikkönen, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Alfa Romeo. So in case you didn't see last Sunday, Kimi Räikkönen retired from Sunday's race in Portugal after driving into the back of his teammate Antonio Giovinazzi at the end of lap 2, start of lap 2 at the main straight in Portugal. It was a bit of a rookie mistake. I think Martin Brundle said, and I kind of agree. He just kind of drove it to the back. He got a bit of a slipstream, and then he crashed right into Giovinazzi's back wheel and destroyed his front wing, and that was the end of Räikkönen's day. Fun fact, Räikkönen has 2 top 10 finishes going back to last season, while I was also posting 2 retirements. So he's kind of just not really competing for the top 10 spot. He's not really shitty enough that you need to get rid of him or that he shouldn't be there. Giovinazzi, I tell you, Giovinazzi, his teammate, he has 3 top 10 finishes while also retiring 3 times since the start of last year. So essentially it's kind of the same thing where you're not really good enough to compete for the points every weekend. You're not really getting a top 10 spot, but you're also not really shitty enough for the team to really fire you to get rid of you. Alfa's currently 8th in the Constructors' Championship right now. And they have finished 8th for the last 2 seasons. So they finished 8th in 2020 when they had 8 points, and then they finished 8th in 2019 when they had 57 points. So obviously a big drop from 57 points in 2019 to 8 points in 2020. The other results this season have been kind of like, I think they've been qualifying pretty well. They just, for the race, they can't seem to pull it together, because then you get shit like Raikkonen just driving into the back of Giovinazzi, and I get it's an accident, and Raikkonen probably didn't mean to do it, but still, it happened. We have to talk about it. They upgraded their Ferrari engine, so Alfa Romeo uses a Ferrari engine, and they've upgraded it, and I think it's better. I think the actual car is better than last year's car. I just don't know if it's enough to compete with like Aston Martins, the Ferraris, the Alpine. Like, I don't think they're anywhere close to competing with them. They're near the bottom with Williams, Haas, those teams. Their reserve drivers this year, just in case Raikkonen or Giovinazzi aren't able to race, their reserve drivers this year are Robert Kubica. He was 19th in the World Drivers' Championship in 2020 out of 20 drivers, and he raced for Williams, so that makes kind of sense. That makes sense. He's been a test driver for 2 of the last 3 seasons. And Callum Ilott, and he's been a test driver with Haas this past season. He also finished 2nd in the World Drivers' Championship in last year with Bertuzzi Racing, 2nd in F2, so the league below. The racing level below F2. Ilott finished 2nd with Bertuzzi Racing in 2020. Even with the budget caps, they still have one of the smallest budgets in F1 right now. My thing with Alpha is that I think it's kind of like Alpine, where they know who they are. They kind of have this identity. The issue is that, unlike Alpine, I don't see where the pathway is to get better. And maybe they don't want to be better. I mean, you should always want to be better. You should always strive for more and do more and be more. I just don't know where the pathway is for them to be better or to get better and be up with the Ferraris and the McLarens and the Alpines of the world. I think Kimi Raikkonen's a fine driver. I think it's more... If you put him in a different car, he's probably a top 10 driver. I don't know if I want to say he's probably getting top 10 results most weekends if he's in a better car. But again, him and Giovinazzi, I don't know if there's teams who think of those 2 drivers as must-haves or really valuable. Like, if you look at the rest of the driver lineup, how many guys are replacing their current drivers with either Raikkonen or Giovinazzi? I don't see it with Alpine and Alonso and Ocon. I don't see it with Aston Martin and Vettel and Stroll. Don't see it with Red Bull Racing with Verstappen and Perez. Haas, I think, would trade Mazepin for anybody right now. We'll get into Mazepin later. McLaren's not trade. They wouldn't switch with anybody. Mercedes wouldn't switch with either one of Giovinazzi or Raikkonen. Williams might switch Latifi for Raikkonen or Giovinazzi, but Latifi's dad got money invested in the team. He's a big sponsor for Williams, so they're probably not going to do that. But in terms of actual driving ability, yeah, probably that Latifi would get switched for Raikkonen or Giovinazzi. I don't see AlphaTauri swapping Gasly or Tsunoda for the 2 Alpha drivers, the Alfa Romeo drivers, and I don't see Ferrari swapping Leclerc or Sainz. Like, the thing is that for Alfa Romeo, you are stuck in, it's almost purgatory essentially, where you don't really have this pathway to grow or to get better, and you're not really doing anything to try and improve that. Raikkonen is making $10 million this year, US dollars. He's a free agent after this season. Giovinazzi is reportedly making $684,000 this season as a free agent after the year. So you have two guys who are free agents after this season. You brought them back because you like the stability and you know what you're getting with Giovinazzi and Raikkonen. But if this team wants to compete with the midfield contenders of the McLarens and the Renaults, Ferraris, there has to be a better collective effort from these people. And it might be upper management. It might be, different drivers. I don't know. I'm always curious as to what's the pathway to improving and what's the pathway to get better. And I don't think there is one right now with Alfa Romeo. I don't see it. I don't know that it's happening. And maybe the team is just happy spending X amount of dollars every year, making X amount of dollars every year. And I guess that's fine. And here's the thing. I want them to prove me wrong. Like, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that this isn't the case. And I hope that they do want to improve and they do want to be trying to compete for championships, especially when, the Mercedes dynasty is over and you have an opportunity to potentially fill in a gap for a championship contender. Like that's where I'm coming from. It's not from a place of hate. Like, I like Raikkonen. I like Giovinazzi. I like the brand and the identity of Alfa Romeo. I think it's a really good brand. I just want to know what the pathway is for you to be successful, for you to be contending for a championship. How does it happen for Alfa Romeo? And right now, I just don't see it happening. That's why I wanted to talk about them, because nobody's talking about them, and that's the part of the problem, is that no one talks about Alfa Romeo because they're kind of just this team, doesn't really compete any weekend. They might get a top 10 finish, probably not. They have one of the most historic drivers on the circuit, and that's it. That's just who they are. So hopefully they can figure that out. I'm rooting for Raikkonen, rooting for Alfa Romeo, rooting for Giovinazzi. Like, I want this team to do well. I just don't know how it happens. That's where I'm coming from there. Let's take one more break, and then I'm going to be discussing Nikita Mazepin, Haas, and everything going on there. So stay tuned so we can talk about Mazepin and Haas. So we'll be right back. All right, we're back here discussing F1, Formula One. If you haven't seen or listened to my conversation about Lewis Hamilton, Alpine, Alfa Romeo, go back and check it out. You can go watch on YouTube. You can go listen on Spotify, whatever you're doing. Make sure you listen to that. So Nikita Mazepin sucks. The whole situation is bullshit. From what I can find on whendidmazepinspin.com, which is now a website, you can see all the times that Mazepin has spun. He spun 7 times this season, as far as the website can tell me. He's managed to piss off Antonio Giovinazzi at Imola. I think that was FP1. Nicholas Latifi at Portugal. I think that was also FP1. Sergio Perez at Portugal. That was during the race when he was blocking with blue flags for Mazepin, telling him to get the fuck out of the way. Didn't do that. He was coming out of the pits. I don't know what all. Yeah. Anyways. And also Paris again in FP2 earlier in the weekend. So listen, he was lapped by George Russell in the Williams on the final lap of the race in Portugal. This dude sucks. This dude is not a good driver. Shouldn't be here, but we already knew that. His teammate Mick Schumacher, he's been fairly impressive. His first 3 races, I don't think he's got into the top 15, and I don't think he's got out of Q1 for qualifying. But, I mean, considering what he's working with as a teammate, the bar is pretty low, and I'd say Schumacher's done pretty well to clear it. My question is with Haas and Gunnar Steiner, what point do you say enough is enough and you just pull the plug on this guy? Is the media scrutiny and the PR hit you're taking really worth it? With all the money you might be getting from Mazepin's dad, is that all really worth it just to take this massive PR hit that you're taking, all the media scrutiny you're getting, and maybe having Mazepin on your team, it's what's paying for Mick Schumacher. according to a pretty reliable newspaper, Corriere dello Sport, I think that's an Italian newspaper, Ferrari is paying half of Schumacher's salary for the first season. Because Ferrari knows that Mick Schumacher is going to be on their team at some point in the future. He's going to win an F1 championship once, if not twice in his career, maybe even more. And Ferrari knows that they'd like him to be the guy to do so. So Schumacher is reportedly, all these, by the way, salary figures that you're hearing, all from Spotrac. No idea how, actually, except for the Schumacher one I got from, I think it was RaceFans.net. Pretty much Schumacher is earning 600,000 euros this year, which is approximately 730,000 US dollars. Ferrari is apparently paying half of that, approximately half of that. So my thing with Haas, I have to imagine if this continues, if this bullshit goes on however long it's going, then Mazepin's done. Like this can't, there's no way this can go on, because I cannot see a world in which Steiner, Gene Haas allows this to continue. I just can't see it. So pretty much you have the option by the mid-season to make any roster changes. If you have that option. I think Mazepin's contract might go to the end of the year, but I can't. My hot take is that Mazepin's gone. I can't see Mazepin being with this team at the end of the year if he continues to pull this shit, because it's probably been a long 2-3 months already for Haas having Mazepin on their team. I can't imagine going all the way till December, going for the next 6 months with this guy on your team, and you're going all over the world. And I just don't see it happening. That's my big hot take from this podcast. Haas will fire or they'll relieve Mazepin at some point. You have to. They're very fortunate to get Mick Schumacher for this season. I don't know if Schumacher's going to be back after this year. It kind of just depends. Schumacher might go to Alfa Romeo. That makes a lot of sense for them. They're all connected with Ferrari in some sort of way. They're all part of the Ferrari Drivers Academy. So pretty much, yeah, that's my feelings towards Mazepin and Haas. Here's the thing. We all know that this dude sucks. We all know this dude is driving because his dad is the fourth richest person in Russia or something ridiculous like that. And we all know that Gunther Steiner is just not really thrilled with it. He's having to put up because the team's making money and we're in the middle of a pandemic and it's a tough situation. So that's why we're going through what we're going through right now. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. I can't imagine, like we got Spain this weekend. We got Monaco in 2 weekends. We got Baku and Azerbaijan, the Turkish Grand Prix, the French Grand Prix. Like, oh man, this is just, I don't know. I just don't see it lasting between Mazepin and Haas. I could be completely wrong. What do I know? But kudos to Mick Schumacher. That dude's great. Love myself some Mick Schumacher. Hopefully he does well for the rest of the season. And that's the podcast. That's the Ian McNaughton Show for Tuesday, May the 4th. We should have another episode out Thursday and Friday for you. So you got 3 episodes of the Ian McNaughton Show this week. Don't say I'm not providing enough content. We got content for you this week. We also have an SYP podcast coming out this week with our buddy Tanner, UBCO student, really smart guy, really knowledgeable dude. Go and listen to that. If it's out by the time this comes out, go listen to that. I can't recommend it enough. It's a really, really interesting conversation that we'll be having. Yeah, so that's the Ian McNaughton Show. You know where to find us. Go check us out on Spotify. Go check us out on Apple Podcasts and iTunes. Go watch the full video on YouTube. Go check out our website, speakyourpiece.ca. Go check us out. Thank you very much for listening. Hope you enjoy it. We'll be back soon. Peace out.